Scavenger, we got an update. Justin Rogers, shout out, does the Wednesday nights with Jeff, Colton Pouncey, and those guys over there. Will Birchfield, Lions Collective. Make sure you guys go tune in and watch that. But update, Lions report here. Lions offensive lineman Graham Glasgow's injury is a minor injury, not a long-term concern, per Justin Rogers. So we had that conversation yesterday. I didn't say it was, and this is where me and Easy went at it a little bit. I wasn't saying it was like a major injury. I was just more so, hey, that's a major piece to your offense, right? Like that, your starting center, that's as big as it gets. It doesn't get any bigger than that. That's one of the biggest positions, especially after losing Frank Ragnow. So Graham Glasgow, it's a minor injury. The only concern that I have with it, it's just how long is this minor injury? Is he going to be ready for week 1? I don't know when they're going to have a conversation with Dan. I'm guessing tomorrow after the game will be the first time they actually get to hear from Dan. And I know they're going to want to ask questions about the game and all of that. I would hope, and I'm going to text the doc and people who are there and see if someone's able to ask about Graham Glasgow and actually if we're able to find out, hey, is this a week 1 concern? Because it is 2 weeks away. And even if it's a minor injury, especially if it's like a knee or a leg, then, Doc is there. Doc said they will. Doc said he's got it. They will. That's all I want. I don't care about, honestly, the only things I care about for after the game, post game on Saturday is what's going to happen with the quarterbacks post game, the wide receiver rooms. How does he feel about Dominic Lovett and then that crew there? And then also I want to know what's going on with Frank Ragnow. Those are the only 3 of my concerns, to be honest, right now. That's it. So I hope, Doc, you're listening. I know you haven't said Aiden Childs' name or that hasn't came out of your mouth in the last 2 months, and Michigan has. Just if you can do one thing for me, ask about Graham Glasgow, please. That's all. That's all I ask. Sorry, I got to stay hydrated here today. It's a hot day out. That's the only thing I asked, Doc. I appreciate you doing that. I also do want to bring this up. Hold on. Let me pull this link up as well, because I do want to talk about some of these other injuries. There's been an update today on Ali McNeil and rookie Ahmed Hassanin. Let me see if I can get this to share for you guys. So this is on Pride of Detroit. It said 2 players on the Detroit Lions D-line who are expected to miss regular season time both gave optimistic updates to reporters on Thursday. So Ahmed Hassanin, and I'll give you guys a brief recap of what's going on. He is he is not going to have any surgery for that pec injury, which is massive news. When they got it looked at, it sounded like, yes, they don't have a timetable on it, but it's something to where it's not going to be a long-term, season-long. Oh, and there's an ad. We got hit with an ad. Not mid-show. Anyone want to buy a Genesis GV70? I would like one of those. That looks nice, man. But the Ahmed Hassanin thing, I think this is positive news, though. At the end of the day, and I had the conversation with the doc about it, to where it's this something that they're going to have to throw him in on the IR, and he's out for the season, or the conversation we had, do they wait until the 53-man roster hits, throw him on IR, only out for 4 games? That seems to be the most likely scenario. So they obviously, it says there, he told Detroit Football Network's Justin Rogers that his latest MRI revealed good news. So it seems like it's one of those situations to where, hey, it just got to heal up. It might take a month. It might take a couple weeks. It might take 2 months. But he will be back this season, which I think is positive news. It's big time news. Another ad, FedEx Playoffs, shout out. Shout out to Liv, too. Liv Golf is in town today, this whole weekend. I think the doc was there as well. And then let me find here. Ali McNeil, who suffered an ACL injury in December, has been on the sideline for most of training camp. He did speak with Dave Burkett and told him, and it looks like here McNeil told Burkett that he was ahead of schedule, confirming that the Lions GM Brad Holmes said earlier in camp, while the defensive tackle wouldn't provide a timeline on his return, he said he would for sure be back before Thanksgiving. As he put it, he's in the final stages of his rehab, which is focused on getting full strength back in that knee. So I think that's positive. I mean, I know we've had the tough news is with Levi Onwuzurike, the Josh Pascal just a day ago, where it's like, hey, Josh Pascal is going to be a little bit longer as well, which is disappointing news. But at least you have this update here on Ahmed Hassanin, who's most likely going to be back at some point this season. And then number 2, I think the biggest one of them all, Aleem McNeil. No one really knew when Aleem was going to come back. It was kind of an up in the air thing. And then Brad a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, had mentioned he's doing really well ahead of schedule. Shout out to Nick Koloff too. He saw him at the Tigers game and asked him how the knee's feeling. He said he feels like he's going to be back better than ever. So everything was like positive, but no one just had an idea on it. At least now there's a timetable to where Aleem says, hey, and I know it sounds so far down the line, Thanksgiving. That sounds so far away. But at least we have an idea that, hey, before Thanksgiving, we're at least going to have backup. There's backup on the way here. So that's the only thing I think I'm pumped up about. You're still going to need DJ Reader and Ty Leak to hold it down. The Levi O and the Josh Pascal stuff, man. The fact, Josh, I don't know. Doc, you're in the chat. What's going on with Josh? I don't even know if we know what the injury is. If we do, I don't know it. I got to block these people. That's how you know, I guess, you're having a good stream if you got people like that just in your chat. It's good. John Macroon says, lovely Friday, about to finally leave the office. Booner alone. Give him great comments. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that. Doc, if you have an update here, on the Josh Pascal, what's the injury? What's happening with the guy? Why? I think it's insane, the fact that the 2 guys we talking about, second round picks, who you need to step up in big moments, they're both just not going to be playing to start the season. One's out for the year. That's disappointing. Mike Reed, he said, Booner, do you think Hooker will play his last game as a Lion tomorrow? I think so. Yep. I've been saying if I was Brad Holmes, I would just cut him. And let's talk about that real quick too, because the doc actually had a good and let me remove this real quick. Let's get back to the normal screen. The doc asked the Dan Campbell a really good question the other day at training camp. It was yesterday when I was there. He actually brought up a really good question asking, hey, is it going to affect, especially last season, when you go down all of those different, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and going into camp this year, when you're looking to kind of cut players and choose who you want as depth pieces, do you now look at it differently to where you're choosing the depth piece at the quarterback position and keeping the third quarterback? Or do you look at it as you want to keep depth at the offensive line, D-line, secondary of positions that last year you got killed at, essentially? And Dan Campbell actually had a great, he essentially was like, you're affected by it. Like what happened last year, that affects the decisions you make this year. And there's no reason when you kind of look at that and you start breaking down the roster and looking at the 53 man, if you have an opportunity to keep a good defensive lineman and you're just hanging on to a thread with a quarterback 3 who potentially could still develop, but just isn't going to get you anything. And like, you're no longer in like a process where you can keep a 53rd guy that's Hendon Hooker when you have to go win a Super Bowl and you need every piece. Right? You need every single player that you can get. And I think at that point, it's time to move on. And if he doesn't have a really good game, and I'm honestly, and I've said this before, I don't really care what type of game he plays on Saturday. I think it's you cut ties. And if another team picks him up, all right, cool. Like give him a different opportunity. Let him go out there and if he's successful there, no hard feelings, right? I know some Lions fans would always look back at it and be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like, who cares? Let the man go out there, and if he does well somewhere else, it didn't work out here. It didn't. And I don't think it's that crazy or that to be mad about that situation. But yeah, I think the Hendon Hooker experiment's over. John Macroon said Pascal is out, undisclosed. He's been spotted running on the side with trainers multiple times. I wonder what the injury is. Hopefully, obviously, he had the situation a few years ago. The health situation. Hopefully it's not something like that. But also hopefully it's not anything like serious, like a back or hamstring, things like that. So Booner is the baby goat of Lions podcast. Oh, he's talking about me. I don't want to read my own. Shout out Robbie though. I don't want to do that though. Do not want to do that. Pascal said Pascal probably now NFI list to begin the regular season, likely out the first 4 games. I think that's fine. It's tough though. Just those 2 second-round guys, defensive linemen. Levi and Josh. It is disappointing. It really is. I do want to bring this up too, because we actually talked about it on the show. So I know a lot of people are, and you know what's crazy about this situation? And I'll be the one to say it. I don't care. Malik Beasley. I'll be the one to say it, because a lot of people today, when things like this happen, right? We're all in the media, and Doc knows this as well. That's listening. Like we're all in the media, right? We have to report things. We have to talk about it and give opinions. If something comes out, and I get it, like Malik Beasley he didn't get convicted, right? It was an investigation. And I think at least on our show as well, like we had the conversation about it, that if it was true, hey, this is not good. Like you're done in the NBA. And you have these conversations, and you have to be able to go out there and talk about them on these shows. Like that's why there's media. That's why you have the freedom of speech to be able to go out there and do it. So we did on our show, had the conversation a lot about it. I saw when the news came out this morning and the Malik Beasley news, a lot of people kind of taking like jabs at media, being like, this is why you don't talk about it until someone's convicted or not. It's news. It's a conversation. Right? Like you have to report on it, and you have to talk about it, and you have to give an opinion on it, whether it's true or not. Allegedly, right? It's all allegedly. So obviously today, the breaking news, Malik Beasley is no longer a target of the federal gambling investigation conducted by the Eastern District of New York. His attorneys told ESPN today. This potentially reopens free agency for one of the NBA's top shooters. And Cartier is right. Listen, Cartier is right. Like you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think on our show, we've talked about that a lot. Like, hey, obviously you need to be proven guilty before we actually but again, the thing I hate about all of this is the tweets that I see today. Like a lot of people need to apologize to Malik Beasley for pushing this out there. Welcome to the real world. If an investigation happens, people are going to know. That's why you get paid so much money. That's why they get paid millions of dollars. It's exactly what it is. And like Cartier said, media ran with it and was painting him as some degenerate. Listen, and this is a thing too that like it sucks. I think a lot of things came out at once. And when this does happen, the investigation happens and you get investigated, a lot of your personal business gets put out there. And with Malik Beasley in that situation, obviously his eviction, I'll say allegedly everything. I don't want to get us in trouble at crunch time, but the eviction, the dentist bills, the barber bills, all of that comes up in investigations, right? And news outlets, all of that all gets put out there. And it's unfortunate. Like, and I saw that this is where I will agree with a lot of people. Like that stuff, like you don't always want people's business out there. Yes, it's public information, but it does suck sometimes. Some people struggle with money. Some people struggle with different things. It doesn't mean that the whole world needs to kind of tear the guy down because of it. And it's just, it's news that we have to report on here at Crunch Time in different places, and we'll have the conversations. But I am interested, why did this happen? Why did, maybe, and then this is where like people like Xavier D, FBI tax dollars well spent. Listen, if you want the game to be clean of gambling, you're going to have investigations like this. I think the lesson from this, if I'm being honest, I think the NBA and the FBI and all these leagues need to figure out a way to where if there is some sort of investigation, instead of putting it out there in a massive light before someone's convicted for it, they need to be able to keep that under wraps, because it happened with Malik Beasley or all these guys in Major League Baseball who right now are going through the investigation. What if it comes out none of those guys had anything to do with any of it? And now their names are just kind of slandered a little bit, and that's always going to be on their names. So I think the leagues, if they're going to have gambling situations and they're going to have these gambling sponsor or partnerships and all of that, they need to figure out a way to be able to not hurt people's images and take money out of people's pockets if these investigations come out. Especially like for Malik Beasley's sake, he was about to sign a 3-year, $40-something million deal with the Pistons. This comes out, Pistons wait. They don't know if it's going to go through or what's going to happen. They go get Duncan Robinson. They go spend money on some other players. And now all of a sudden, they don't have the money and they don't have a way to give Malik Beasley 3 years, $40 million now. And he just loses out on all of that. And I saw something today. I'm not 100% locked in on how the money in the NBA and for this deal specifically would work with Malik Beasley if he was to come back. What I did see, though, is it's a potential. The only offer that the Pistons are going to be able to offer him is 1 year, $7 million. And then next offseason, he would be able to get, I think it's like a 4-year deal with 49 or something like that. That would be the max, or I don't know. But it kind of screwed him over in it, especially now the fact that he's innocent and it came out and said, hey, he's no longer involved. So yeah, it's a tough situation to be in. And like Nick P said, Malik lost money after this, unfortunately. Pistons probably had the best contract for him. Agreed. And I'm sure he can go somewhere else that has money and get paid a little bit more, or he can stick with the Pistons for a year and kind of do what he did last year and then try and get a big contract next year. But it is very unfortunate that the way it happened, it did. So they have to figure that out. They do. I don't mind. Hey, if you're going to investigate, like, keep the game clean, you got to figure out a way to do it without hurting people's pockets and without hurting people's images. Paul in Orlando, $4.99 donation. Appreciate that, Paul. I'll go to good use. Yeah, Cartier, he's out of a lot of money. We were about to cash out on him. Yeah, he missed out on $40 million. It's a $40 million loss, and it ended up not being true, or he ended up getting through the investigation.
I've interrupted the video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Comer & Cross, and their one-day installation for concrete floor coatings, garages, basements, patios. They do it all. And I'm sure you're tired of staring at your crack-stained garage floor. Well, I have the answer for you. Comer & Cross, in their summer installation sale, they're offering 12 months same as cash or $500 in savings. Why put it off? You can contact the number, 248-834-3488. They transform patios, pool decks, basements, even driveways. They do it all. And the best part is they move the stuff out for you. They repair your cracks and pits before applying your stunning new floor, guaranteed. Comer & Cross concrete floors never chip, crack, or peel like epoxy or paint. Again, you could call the number, 248-834-3488, or you can book your free estimate at comercross.com. Let's get back to the
John Macaroon. He said Beasley can just do $7 million on red at MGM, double his money. Listen, Doc, he needs people in his corner right now, and shout out to Malik Beasley. I don't want, this is with all due respect, but with everything that did come out, that just, hopefully lead him in the right direction when it comes to kind of the financial stuff. I have no room to talk with all that. I don't make millions, but hopefully he has someone in his corner that's going to be like, all right, we got to get this thing together. A little eye-opening experience or something. But shout out to Malik Beasley. I hope he comes back to Detroit. I really do. I like Malik Beasley. They could use another shooter. You can never have too many shooters in this league. Never can. All right, let's do this. Let's take some time here. Mike's going to jump on. Mike Gentry's going to be on here in the next probably 5 to 10 minutes. Before he goes on, I want to just do kind of have a conversation about this Lions preseason game tomorrow. Just a reminder, we're not going to be live for it tomorrow, and we'll be back on Monday. But I want to do two different things. One, I'm going to go over a couple things that I'm going to be looking for in this game. But two, also, I want to give the people in the chat just opportunities, ask questions, throw things in there, and we'll have a conversation if some people kind of, whatever you're looking for in the game, or if you have some type of question about this 53-man roster going into tomorrow. I don't know if I have my roster card. I do have it here, but I'll start it off with this. I think the number one storyline going into tomorrow, I think there's two top ones, and then that's probably about it. Maybe a third for the roster, but number one obviously is this quarterback position. It sounds like Hendon Hooker's going to play a majority of this football game tomorrow. So if you're a Hendon Hooker fan, if you still have hope on Hendon Hooker, and you think this guy can turn it around, you're in luck, because you're going to see a lot of him tomorrow. And Kyle Allen, I think that's why I think it's bad news for Hendon Hooker. That's because if Kyle Allen didn't already win the QB2 spot, they would be playing him as well. Majority of the time tomorrow is half and half. From the reports, it sounds like it is a Hendon Hooker day, essentially. You might see a couple drives of Kyle Allen, but I think that's the one thing to keep an eye out tomorrow to see what's going on with that QB2 spot. The next biggest thing, it's this whole Jackson Meeks situation. I don't know. And listen, I think Jackson Meeks is going to, if you guys want me to be honest with you, and I'll give my prediction right now, Detroit Lions keep 6 wide receivers. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond, Isaac Tesla, and it's Jackson Meeks. and Dominic Lovett's sitting on the outside. I think Jackson Meeks, and I heard some people talking about it today, where typically they look at the full body of camp, and they use that to evaluate full body of camp, full games. As of right now, I would have to say Jackson Meeks probably had the better camp. And I don't think that means Dominic Lovett's had a bad camp. Man's had a great camp. When we were there yesterday for the Texans practice, he looked good again. Dominic Lovett did. But Jackson Meeks, just as a whole, I feel like he's put together the better camp, and he's had some better games, and he's dominated. Last week's game was dominant from him. And if he goes out there tomorrow, let's say he gets 4 catches for 50 yards, it's locked up, in my opinion. It is. And I would be so shocked if they kept 7 wide receivers. That's a lot. It is a lot. I would expect them, if they were going to keep, an extra player at a position, I would say it has to be in the trenches, whether it's offense or defensive line. But and I want to do this too. If you guys want to drop who you guys think will be kind of that 6th guy, if you think Dominic Lovett's the one that's in there, put it in the chat. But I'm interested. I'm very interested to see where you guys kind of land on that, because that might be the closest camp or the closest battle of training camp right now. Dominic Lovett and Jackson Meeks. And I don't think anyone truly knows. I don't know if Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes know who they're going to roll with. I think they're just going to say, hey, whoever has the better stat line tomorrow and looks the best, you're in. Jomo said he won't get 4 catches with Hendon Hooker in. I bet you they're both probably hoping that Kyle Allen plays tomorrow. I bet you that's what they're both in their back of their heads, or let's say they're rotating and they're not playing at the same time. Whoever plays with Kyle Allen makes the team. MC3 Who Dat said, do you think Nate Lynn has a shot to make the team? I think right now, when we did our 53-man on Monday, or what was it? Whenever we did the 53-man after the last game, I believe Jeff and I both had Nate Lynn in the roster. We both had Nate Lynn making the roster. Again, like there's a couple guys in that D line, like Isaac Ukwu. There's a few guys at the back end to where I would rather cut a Hendon Hooker and a 7th wide receiver and keep one of those guys. I want more depth at that D line. I really do. Cartier said, we have so many offensive options that I am fine keeping 5. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I originally said 5 as well. I think Jackson Meeks is just playing way too well. And I think the biggest thing with that, Cartier, because I'm with you a little bit, just the biggest thing with that whole situation, though, it's just really the fact that you don't want to lose both of those guys. And I think if you cut both of them, there's a chance that they both get picked up. And you want to make sure that both of them, or not both of them, you used to get one on your roster. It would be heartbreaking if you lose both and they end up both doing something on different teams. That would be heartbreaking. I think you can afford to keep a 6th guy. Last year, I think they kept 3 quarterbacks. Maybe they didn't keep 3 quarterbacks. Maybe it was 2. If they kept 3 quarterbacks and they cut both of those guys and went 5 wide receivers, I'd be disgusted. I really would. I really would. Is Kansas City starters playing tonight? It's interesting. I don't know if they were or not. Lions 67, are you guys doing anything special for cut down day on Tuesday? I'll tell you what, just keep your guys' eyes peeled on Tuesday. Oh, here we go again. If we end up having, if there's like a bunch of cuts going on, we're probably going to do the normal show, 8 to 10, no matter what. There might be a chance, same thing like we did for free agency. When free agency happened, throughout the whole week, we went live a couple hours during the day and then went live at night as well. We'll probably do something similar. If cuts start to really start coming in on Tuesday, which it will, and there's some big conversations to be had, we for sure probably will go in and do that. So McKinstry triple. Raid said, we have Laporta and 3 running backs who can catch out of the backfield. 5 wide receivers might not be that far-fetched. Yeah, Raid, I'll say it a million times. My original 53-man roster that I did a week or so ago, I had 5 wide receivers. And my thought process behind that was last year they had 4, and Isaiah Williams was the 4th. He got cut, I believe, and they brought Tim Patrick in. And when he got cut, I don't know the timeline of him getting cut, but at some point he did get cut, and he got picked up. So I think like 5 with Tesla is still about the same, or if not a little one more than they had last year. But I wouldn't be shocked if they do 6. Theo99, Holmes will not give up on his draft pick, Hooker. Most of the beat writers said he looked like the best quarterback there in practice. He just needs more reps, and it's a mental thing. Listen, I'm gonna do what John has come on our show and said. You could say he has had good practices all we want, and I know we don't always get to see the practices, and Brad and Dan do. At some point, there has to be translation. You can't keep a guy and just keep him in your building if there's no translation to the game field. Like, that's one of the bigger problems. I get it. Like, you're not giving up on a draft pick. He's given up on draft picks before already. He has, as much as people don't want to say so. He's let guys go. He'll do it. And I hope he does it. MC3 who dat other team cap cuts also need to be in the conversation. Yeah, they can add players. There's already been cuts going on. I've seen 30, 40, 50 players cut already today. So you have to keep your eyes out, because it was the same thing. Tim Patrick got bought out last year when 53-man rosters happened. That was how we picked him up. So Brad's going to be looking around, I'm sure. We're going to trade for a player cut down day. I don't know if we're going to make a trade, but I'm sure we will. I wouldn't be shocked if there's 1 or 2 players that are picked up on the 53-man from someone else's team. Lions are probably going to look for a center in the cut day. Yeah, Lions 57, I agree with that. Theo said I'd prefer Meeks over Lovett. I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat there. I would like another center. When I had Nolan on yesterday, that was one thing that I think when I brought up to him, and I didn't realize it until yesterday, and Graham goes down, is just the center depth on this team right now. It was kind of eye-opening yesterday with the fact, like, it's like your life flashes in front of your eyes, and you're like, wait a second, what if Graham goes down? Who's going to be, say you even move Tate over? You don't have another center? I mean, Michael Neese? Who ended up stepping in yesterday? Can't remember. Drawing a blank. I don't remember who stepped in yesterday. As soon as I see the name, maybe it was Kingsley. I think Kingsley stepped in yesterday. So you have him. He is probably going to be on your practice squad, though. Coach Walk, welcome, Coach Walk. We actually will not have a watch party tomorrow. Tomorrow will be our only preseason or regular season game where we will not have a watch party. We are off tomorrow fully. I don't think the guys are going live in the morning, but we are going to be completely off tomorrow. Tristan Colon, Diggity Dog asks, what about Tristan Colon? Tristan Colon right now is hurt, and I don't know if anyone has an update on what's going on with him, but he is injured right now, or else he would be a good backup center. I know he's played center throughout in the NFL. He's played there with the Baltimore Ravens. And then obviously, I don't know if he played center when he was in Arizona, but I think he played guard there. But he did play center in his career in the NFL so far. Theo99 said, I would cut Vaki. I would not cut Vaki. I know he's been injured a little bit, but he is one of your better special teams players. And I think that's very, very valued on this football team. And I'll say this. I didn't say this on the show yesterday. I completely forgot about it. And I don't know why I did. I must have forgot to write it down. Before Sione Vaki got hurt yesterday, and I forgot to tell people he got hurt yesterday, but before that happened, he was getting reps with the second team. So it was essentially Jahmyr Gibbs and Dayton Demont playing in the first team, and you would expect the second team goes out there. Typically, it's Craig Reynolds. Yesterday was the very first time since I've been watching, since Vaki's been on this team, in my opinion, since I've seen. Now, beat writers who are there during the day or people who have been at different practices, that was the first time yesterday that I actually saw Sione Vaki getting reps before Craig Reynolds. So he was the first running back in for the second team unit. And then all of a sudden he comes out, and literally I tweeted it, I think, from my Twitter account that Sione Vaki was in before Craig Reynolds. As soon as I tweeted it, he comes running off the field, takes helmet off, hands it to trainer, and they start looking at his left hamstring, it looked like, or his left leg. And then he didn't go back. He didn't play the rest of practice. He was out. And that was towards the beginning. That was literally the first 11 on 11, second team out there. It was Sione Vaki at running back over Craig Reynolds. So if he doesn't get hurt, I would expect that he was your running back 3 at that moment. That's what it looked like. Because then Craig went in for him. So as of right now, I'll say this. On the 53-man, they're not. I don't know if the injury is that bad. I don't know what it is. He's obviously has something going on. I would just expect him right now to be on the 53-man and not the IR. It seemed like it was probably something minor. And he's just been battling it. People say he's always hurt. I mean, he did play a lot last year, but then I feel like this offseason he's been nicked up a lot and he's had a lot of different things going on. I think he is and this is just an opinion. This isn't really a report or anything. But I feel like he might have a lingering hamstring going on right now. And that was something we saw last year at camp with Sam Laporta. And that was why throughout the season, it felt like Sam Laporta was struggling because he was just always going through some sort of injury.